Anytime we look at any restaurant, the most important thing is to figure out that it's a total experience. And when you start looking at a total experience, I think it's very important to start putting it into perspective. We try to look at different methodologies. First thing we try to understand is what is it that the customer truly is expecting from the brand. Many a time we in restaurants have been brought with the concept that if we build it, they will come. That has completely changed. For example, fast casual has taught us that there's no more restaurant categories. In today's world, for example, earlier it was instead of a Quiznos sandwich, you would go to a Subway. Instead of Pizza Hut, you'll go to Domino's. Today, it could be instead of Taco Bell, you may go to Chipotle, you may go to even Applebee's. So putting the consumer first is very important. The second thing that we start looking at is to try to put the customer and try to understand what kind of dissatisfiers. This would be more of qualitative focus groups where I would ask you, even though you're going to this particular brand, one, what is it that bothers you about the brand? Because we really believe that in today's world, going back to this core economic principle that if you solve for an inefficiency, you will get rewarded. So the whole research that we start looking at is to find out what are the dissatisfiers in competition, how much value that is there, and how fast can you go and solve that.
Okay. How do you go about approaching a brand? So if you have a brand and you're trying to find out what does it stand for, what are some of the approaches you take to figure that out?
Earlier there were traditional approaches. In focus group, people would do all these things that if my brand was a car, what is it? Okay. In today's world, I think, to me, this becomes like a creative exercise, which is on a totally different dimension. Earlier, the speaker before me was talking about consumers lie. I don't agree, but I feel if you and I start brainstorming and going to a different direction, I get a different response from the consumer, which is not relevant. So to me, it's all about putting the brand to trying to understand where does the brand fit in the consumer's life. Like tomorrow, if the brand does not exist, what will happen? Because if you try to understand, if let's say, if you were that neighbor where people just waved at you, but nobody got to know. And when you died, they said, hey, that guy just passed away. Oh, okay, let's move on. You don't want to be. You just want to have a place. And to me, that's the part where we link that to frequency, because frequency is habit, which means the same behavior gets repeated. So if you find a niche in a consumer's life which only you can meet, that's what the brand stands for. What is it? Like Taco Bell. As I talked about, kids are hanging out late night. One is open. It's available. And that too is the safest place in the neighborhood where parents will never show up. Who's going to beat them?
That's right. Great.